Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a bada-bingingly beautiful edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster
Party. It's monstrous. It's big. It's bad. It's awesome. It's threatening. It's violent.
What could be more scary than the mob?
It's about loyalty.
Yes,
That's right.
It's
And
about
betrayal.
It's about a lot of things. It's Shakespearean in
And
scope. So, but
trains.
before we get into yes, and trains, absolutely. But before we get into this, let me introduce myself. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN SHERIDAN.
I'm Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GONIS.
And our topic for this episode is also our guest. And we are delighted that he was able to make some time for us. He is a mega talented actor, producer, voice artist, writer, and podcaster who was extremely kind to me as an up-and-coming stand-up comedian. Now, most people will know him as Bobby BACALIERI from the legendary TV series The Sopranos, as well as playing the role of Detective Anthony Abetemarco in numerous episodes of Blue Bloods. But of course, many Monster Party fans will remember him guest starring in such favorites as Stargate Atlantis, Justice League Unlimited, Star Trek Enterprise, and the last episode ever of Columbo. Columbo, people.
Right.
Yes.
The last scene.
That's last shot.
The last
Literally.
scene. The last scene. The
Incredible.
very last scene. He co-hosts with his fellow Sopranos star Michael Imperioli the podcast Talking Sopranos, which led them both to write the book Woke Up This Morning, a definitive oral history of the Sopranos. And speaking of writing, he also created the Goomba series of books that include A Goomba's Guide to Life, The Goomba's Guide to Love, and The Goomba Diet, Large and Loving It. Please welcome a national treasure, Steve Schirripa.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Happy to be here. Boy, it sounds a lot better than it is. Trust me.
No. Come on. You've done a lot, sir.
Oh, yes,
I have done a lot in a relatively short period of time. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew I may not be around, around that long. So what I mean?
Life in the fast lane.
Not so much that, just that when I did the show, I still had a job, like where I met Matt. I was still working at the Riviera.
That's right.
Well,
yes.
yeah. How did you guys hook up? How did you get into?
So when I met you, you were the entertainment director of the Riviera Hotel and Casino, and I got a job working at the Improv there. And I had heard from a lot of other comics that, hey, the Steve Schirripa guy who runs this, he can be kind of a tough customer. Well, I meet you, and you couldn't have been nicer. And I remember your only big rule was stick to your time, which I did. But I realized, talking to you for the week, that there were a lot of comics that did have problems with that.
Well,
Are you serious?
They had big problems, and those are the guys that you don't want to work with anymore, no matter how funny they are. I got other stuff to do than worry about the comics. So you would have some of that. The show was, I think at the time, say an hour, 15 minutes, and they would go over and over. They thought it was great. They're doing an hour and a half. Well, we got to turn the room over, get them in, get them out, that kind of stuff. And so you got that. Then you had a lot of comics. They were supposed to come on, say, at 8:30. Well, they don't show up until 8:29 and 30 seconds. So you're sweating.
No.
Right.
So you had some of that. You had some. There was one comic in particular. He wouldn't leave the hotel. I went up to his room. There's a guy, Larry Beezer. Do you remember that guy, Matt?
I don't know.
So I go up to his hotel room. I kid you not. I knock on the door, get security, open the door. The mattress is against the window. He's laying, on the box spring and lighting matches.
What?
I swear to you. And I'm saying, you got to get out of the hotel. So they literally pack up his stuff, throw him out of the hotel. So you had some of that. You had guys that got too drunk, and they're in the employee cafeteria with the employees drinking at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yay.
So you had all these things. So, you narrow it down to, this guy's funny, but I don't need any headaches, man.
Right.
So it came to that. So I was nice to the people that were professional and nice and didn't cause me a problem. And the guys that were, dickish, then I wasn't nice. And I didn't care, especially then. I didn't really care. As long as you got a few laughs, I didn't care who you are, what you are. I remember telling comics, I hope one day you become a big star so I never have to see you again. I hope so. I really do, that we never cross paths again, And I had no aspirations to be in the business at that point. So it was all business, man. This was all like get in, get out. You had the other shows. You had a topless show upstairs, Crazy Girls. You had a female impersonator show. You had a female impersonator show. Sure. I had a lot going on, man. Yeah, one time there was 9 shows a night in this little area.
Wow.
Thousands of people going through. I don't really care. There was one comic, a female comic. She... I had hired her numerous times, and she did fine. I get my reports, and she said, Steve, you never come down to see my act. Why don't you ever come down to see my act? And I went, let's leave well enough alone. Because if I see your act, I probably won't hire you again. You know what I mean? Like, just leave it alone. Yeah. What do you need? My adulation?
Why make trouble?
Yeah, I'm hiring you. I'm giving you a week. In Vegas, you didn't make a lot of money, but it was like 3 shows a night at one point.
Yes.
21 shows a week. Mm-hmm. It was when Bud Friedman had it, he was very cheap and kept all the money for the comics. And then in 1995, I took it over and it became the Riviera Comedy Club. And I paid more. So now it was 2 shows a night. And, the middle act's getting $1,500. And the headline is getting $300 or $3,500, and the opening act, whatever. So it was a pretty good gig. You ate, you got a room, a pretty nice job, not so bad. So I'm hiring her. Just shut up. Just shut up. Do what's asked of you, and that's it.
Right. Well, you gotta keep the train moving.
I do remember that when it was the Improv and we had first met, and this is yet another reason why I loved you. So it's about midweek, and you come up to me and you say, it's in between shows, and you say, hey, this is what's going to happen. See this guy over here? He's going to take you to this bar. At that bar, you're going to do 20 minutes, and then you are going to come back here, and then I'm going to give you $100. And I said, oh my God, this is the best person ever in the world. Because you're correct. That gig did not pay a lot of money. And then on top of that, you try to save money by eating at the employee cafeteria. And we can all, I'm sure, you can guess what that was like. It wasn't terrible, but I do this gig. It goes well. I come back. You give me the money. And I went, this guy's in my will, I think. Yeah, it was incredible.
There you go. I mean, so we did it for years, and I loved doing it. And then the other jobs would come up. Sometimes they would call me from, Bally's and say, we need an opening act for Tom Jones. The guy got sick. And I would send somebody down the street.
Wow.
Stuff like that. So that happened quite often.
Nice.
But I used a group of guys and girls that didn't cause me any problems.
Right.
They got laughs and don't cause me problems. I wasn't looking for the next hip guy or whatever. Just do your thing and
just people you could trust.
Yeah, listen, people I trust, people I know weren't going to cause a headache, but inevitably they did anyway. And now, later on, you see how people shoot themselves in the foot, even on the shows I've been. I've been working, luckily, for 25 years as an actor. I was on 2 different series after The Sopranos. I'm still on Blue Bloods. And you see it causing problems, coming in late, all kinds of stuff, bringing people to the set that don't belong. There was a guy, one of the Soprano actors, brought John Gotti's daughter to the set.
Holy shit.
I kid you not.
Oh my God.
And at the time, she was a reporter for like, I don't know, one of those like Maury Povich shows. What was those shows in? You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. Like Inside Edition or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Shows.
Like that. Yeah. And she was a reporter for that. And everything was secretive on The Sopranos, obviously, because, you know, the killings and all that. It was like crazy top secret. And he brought her, and the producer called him over and said, get her out of here now. And he came late a bunch of times, and they got rid of him.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you know, it's like how to lose a job, you know.
God.
Jobs that don't come around that often. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, you were this entertainment director that I loved. And then all of a sudden I start seeing you in movies and TV. And so how did that even happen? Did it come to you? I mean, or did you hear about an audition?
Well, you know Bruce Baum, comic Bruce Baum?
Yeah. Bruce Baby Man Baum.
That's right. So he was doing these short little 5-minute films. They had a thing on Fox, Sunday Night Comics. And they did these little films, and he did it, and I think Robert Schimmel, and they had some you know, comics, stand-up comics that were also filmmakers. And they were funny sketches, long form, but 5 minutes. So he asked me if I wanted to be in one. I had never read a script. I had never looked at a script. I was afraid to go on stage, like even to say goodnight, like as an MC, if the MC didn't show up, you know. So I flew to LA, and, you know, we had this thing, and we did it on a golf course, and it was very funny. There was a couple of other comedians there. Johnny Dark was there, and a couple other guys. Yeah. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but I kind of got like the bug, you know, I was like kind of excited. I said, wow, that was great, man. And I flew myself back. And then one of the casting people put me in a few more of these little films. And so I kind of got the bug a little bit. And then I kind of started pursuing half-ass. You know, if something came to town in Vegas, I auditioned for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I got it. Chicago Hope. Yeah. I didn't give a crap. That was the deal, you know. Like, because my rent wasn't due. I had a good job, you know. And so I remember Chicago Hope. The casting guy brings me in, local casting guy, and they're sitting down, and they must have seen who knows how many people for how many roles. And he brings me in, he said, this is Steve Schirripa. And you could see them like getting up to shake my hand, and they're like, they don't want to be bothered. And I went, sit down, you know. Sit down. I get it. You don't want to shake my hand. It's okay. And I got the role. I got it.
That's great.
It was like, I understand. And it's a security guard. So I was getting 2 lines here, 2 lines there, that kind of stuff. For me, it was a hobby. And I had the money to fly to L.A. or to drive to L.A. to audition. I had an agent kind of hip pocketing me, just a friend. And I was thinking about pursuing it. And I said, if I try harder, will I get more? Or was these under 5s that this was it, you know? I did a King of Queens. I did a movie in Toronto. So little stuff. But for me, like I said, it was fun. And then I went to New York for a wedding. You Think. Remember You Think, the comic?
Yes, yeah. Great comic.
So he had gotten married, and he was at my wedding 10 years earlier. I said, when you get married, if and when, I will be there. So I flew to New York by myself. My wife couldn't come. And this agent, I said, hey, there's that show, The Sopranos. I think I had seen a little of it. I said, see if you can get me. Maybe I could get a couple lines, you know. I'm here in New York. And So he called, and that in those days when they faxed the sides to me,
right,
of an FBI agent, and I went up to Broadway, and it was Christopher Walken's wife. She was the casting director.
Oh my gosh.
On Blue Bloods, and tough. But for some reason, she liked me, but tough. And I went in and I read. I don't see her as an FBI agent. Read this. So I kind of cold read it, and she picked up my resume. What is this? And blah, blah, blah. And so I came back the following week on my own dime, which I wasn't going to. I paid my own way back and forth, put myself up. She said, this is a local hire. I said, well, let's hope we have that problem, And my wife convinced me to come back, and then I got it. And that first season, I kept a job at the Riviera.
Oh, wow.
Because, I didn't know what was going on. I did 6 episodes. I was making no money. I joke, but it's not a joke. It cost me $24,000, and I made $22,000. I flew back and forth. The hotel was good with it. I had 6 weeks vacation. I would tell my secretary, I'm going to New York. If anyone's looking for me, I just left. And I would be gone for 2 days. 2 days. They didn't even notice I was gone.
My gosh.
So
that you were off. So you're out on the East Coast making the show. So you actually originally read for an FBI agent part.
Yeah, FBI agent. He didn't last very long. A good actor, Louis Lombardi, got it. He wasn't around long. And then I did these 6 episodes, and I never spoke to the showrunner.
Really?
At all. And the last day, David Chase, the creator, the last day of shooting, I'm outside the studio, because the studio is here in New York City, in Long Island City. And I'm walking, and he's coming that way, I'm coming this way. And I stick out my hand. I said, hello, Mr. Chase. I'm Steve Schirripa. I play Bobby. He goes,
on your show.
He goes, I know who you are. And he said, oh, no, I like what you did. You'll be back, And so the following year, became a regular, and they moved me back here. But that's exactly how it was, And
that's
then
amazing.
And then because of The Sopranos, of course, now everybody wants you for everything. And, obviously that's the big door to go through, So that's how it started. Just kind of, the thing was, I'm competitive. So I wanted, obviously I go in there to audition. I wanted the role.
Right.
But I didn't need it to pay the rent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pressure off you when you're going, man, the rent is due Wednesday.
Right.
I got to get this thing. So it wasn't like that. It was like,
it was a make or break. It wasn't like life or death.
No, it wasn't. But I wanted it. And I would drive to LA, leave the house at 6:00 in the morning, drive to LA, get there about 10, and go on 3 auditions and drive back home.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I was living in Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas for 25 years, And then I still was a consultant to the Riviera for 10 years. I was still booking the comedy club, Matt.
No way.
Wow.
They paid me $3,000 a month and my phone bills. And I continued to book it. And I had a little agency, and I was booking acts. And I remember Chris Rock I saw, he said something, you're still dipping your toe in that? I said, it was easy, and I enjoyed doing it. And what I really enjoyed, and I'm not just saying this, I enjoyed booking the people that I liked.
Right.
It was a big job to them, to come to Vegas and make, it was a big deal. And I booked a lot of people that no one else would book, guys were getting older, Kip Adada and John Dark and names like that. And I booked them. And so I enjoyed that you could put people to work. So I did that for 10 more years.
Wow.
And with the first season, I never told The Sopranos I had a real job. So I didn't want anyone to look at me like not a real being a real actor.
Sure. Yeah, right.
This guy's not a real actor. What's he doing it? I never told them. All they knew was I lived in Las Vegas, and I never told the show really what I was doing until it came out.
Wow.
I never told the hotel. And when it came out, I was busted. Then they knew. And
But what an interesting character for you to take on, because Bobby is probably the nicest guy in the entire series.
Like relatively.
When it comes to the mob, at least.
And Matt, do you want to explain who that character is for people who don't know?
Bobby's father was this big guy in the mob, and you've been involved with it, but in kind of a little more of a background role where you were taking care of Junior Soprano. You want a little more power. And it's this weird kind of teeter-totter too, because you are this guy who's not really looking to be, any kind of hitman or anything like that, but you did want more power. In between all of this, you're a sort of a gentle soul. I mean, you collect trains. Which to me is like, spoiler alert, there's a scene where you meet your demise and you're at a train store and you're about to put down I think it's like $8,000 for a train set. And I'm watching this and, I'm sure my cohorts here will agree. That's like us. That's the kind of nerds we are.
Totally.
We're like, oh, that's a nice train. What, $8,000? Is that all you want?
But it's a very special train.
It is, right.
And comment. No, Steve, were you a fan of trains? Did you like trains? What?
I don't dislike them. Dislike them, but it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
David Chase, one of the writers, had this thing. Bobby, he started out, he was just the butt of a lot of people's jokes, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
when I first get the role, they send me the script and I see all these fat jokes. You're a calzone with legs. You should consider eating salad. All these fat jokes. And I say to my wife, did they cast the wrong guy? Because I'm not that much fatter than Jim Gandolfini.
Right.
So the jokes don't make sense. Right, you know what I mean? Like, a fat guy calling a fat guy a calzone with legs, right? Doesn't make sense, right? So then they call me, say, you got to come in. We need you a couple days early. We got to fit you for a fat suit. So they put a fat suit on me my first 2 seasons. And then I guess season 4, I got fat enough on my own. They said, you can go. And, they never once told me who the guy was. It was so well written. It was just like on the page. They never said, this guy is this, and this.
Right.
He wasn't the smartest guy. He was his nursemaid, Junior's nursemaid. He went and bought stool sampler and whatever Junior needed and all that crap. And listened to him. Junior was one of the best characters. Crotchety old man, with no filter. And then as the years went on, Bobby, it was said that he never had a gomada, a mistress, as all the other guys have. He was the one guy loyal to his wife who dies. I think we're way past spoiler alerts. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, right. Yes.
Well, you're loyal to everybody. I mean, that's the thing.
And then his wife dies and he connects with one of the most evil characters on the show, Janice Soprano.
Right.
And suddenly Bobby is sitting he's the boss's brother-in-law. So maybe he wasn't as stupid as everyone thought,
Right.
It was wonderful to play. I mean, The Sopranos, it was such a smart show, and people on the surface, they say, well, it's about the mob and the strip club and they kill each other. It was all about capitalism. It was about family. It was about so many things. And it's when we analyzed it and went through every scene on our podcast, it was really hard because it's very complicated.
Yes.
It's very not layered. Like, they kill, very much so. Once in a lifetime situation, they put all these great cast members together and, at one point we were all like a family and it was really like that. If you were going to be on any show, that was the show because everyone was watching it. People in the business, people outside the business, so it was like that. But Bobby did kill someone
Yes.
He was forced to kill someone.
Yes.
By Tony, but nevertheless, he's a murderer like the rest of them now, right?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But again, this was done reluctantly, and I love the scene after Bobby does it and comes back home and is so distraught, but it's distraught in a way, and this is the thing that really amazed me, the depth that you have as an actor. There's so many scenes in The Sopranos where you have to really emote and cry and break down and show these subtle levels of sometimes fear or annoyance, and you're just great at it. And it really fleshes out a character and makes him real.
Well, I worked with an acting coach. I found one here. I had one in Las Vegas, but I worked with a guy here, a very eccentric guy. And I would go to his apartment. I would go there with the scenes, and we would run the scenes. And then I would literally go to the stage and do them. And he was a big help to me. He lived in a disgusting apartment with mouse traps everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
I am afraid of mice and rats. I would rather fight Shaq, kid you not, than deal with a mouse. And so when we would go, he had like a railroad apartment in the East Village, and I would say, you go first when I had to go to the bathroom. So I made him go in case anything ran out. And then after a while, I paid him an extra $20 to come to my apartment because I couldn't deal with it. But this guy really helped me. I really couldn't have done it without him. He really taught me and helped me. And it was just one-on-one. And I went to him the whole 6 or 7 years I was on the show. Wow. So that helped a lot. I thought the first season I was just awful. It's unwatchable. But they kept me around for some reason. That was the one thing I liked about David Chase. He didn't care how much experience you had, as long as you were the guy. If you were the guy that he had in mind, it didn't matter what your resume was or what you were or she was. That's it, So I like that part. And I think I got better, and I think I got better, obviously, now. I'm doing it, like I said, for 25 years. I mean, I kind of think I know what I'm doing.
No, I mean, it's and the thing is, you're so natural in the part, and across the seasons, your arc and the way your character evolves is very gradual and natural.
Yeah.
From that time where you have that drunken fight with Tony, that's a pivotal moment too. He insults your wife, his sister. That changes things, but even then, it's like, to me, like, yes, he has a newfound respect for you, but that's also when he sends you out on your first hit.
Right.
So it's like he's still controlling you. Like I said, it's multi-layered, but you see that changing you. And I always wondered what you thought of, like, do you think Bobby's demise was inevitable no matter what? Yes, he's a nice guy comparatively to these people who are killers.
Terrible people.
You were still doing bad stuff before you're hit, until the point where you're finally hit. Do you think it could have ended any other way for him?
Well, first of all, I grew up around, part of Brooklyn I grew up in the 60s and 70s was a big mob enclave. Very big. And you didn't know they were mobsters. They were just like your baseball coach. Or Joey's uncle. You open the paper. I had no idea Joey's uncle. He's a nice guy. He just killed 5 people. I didn't know that.
Right.
So it was that neighborhood that I had grown up. It's changed now, but back then. So there are these people. There's the real killer type, right? Like that we know of. But they're very bad people, and they don't just do bad things to each other. They do bad things to innocent people.
Right.
I've seen it, So Bobby was very much game for all of that. Yeah, you know what I mean? He didn't want to kill anyone, but he was very much game to kill. Do I think, what I thought at one point before I knew the ending? I thought maybe kind of an I, Claudius thing. I thought maybe Bobby and Janice would take over. And kill
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought that. I said, it's kind of heading that way. Bobby kind of rises up the ranks. He came from literally nothing, making fun. Tony didn't respect him. He's with Janice, who we know is a nut. she's a murderer, manipulator. I kind of thought them two take over.
Yeah.
I really kind of thought that was a possibility until I found out what, you know.
But it's like if that moment in the hobby store didn't happen, like that's when Bobby was finally getting his ball, so to speak, to become that, going over the top there, to be that on that, like you said, killer level.
Yeah, I think maybe after you do the first one, they always say the first one's the hardest.
The hardest, right?
I mean,
yeah.
We did the fight scene, and we did it up at a lake house up here in upstate New York, and Jim couldn't. We just literally getting ready to do it, and he said, "I have bad knees, and it's not going to look good."
The big drunken fight, right?
Yeah. So 6 months later, they rebuild that stage.
Oh my God!
They rebuilt the cabin on a sound stage, $250,000.
Wow!
And when I walked into the stage, I mean, it was kind of eerie. It was exactly a exact replica of this cabin upstate, and the cabin used to be owned by Roy Scheider from Jaws.
Yeah.
And his ex-wife got it in the divorce. And and she rented it out for photo shoots.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
And so we were on the sound stage. It took us a day and a half. Jim said, "Listen, we're good friends. Let's make this as real as possible. Don't hold back." And we went as far as we could, pulling hair. He was choking me. 95% of it, maybe more, are us, not a stuntman. And, he was much stronger than me. He wasn't taller, but he was much stronger. And he was choking me. The chain is going into my neck. And it was sloppy. It was two fat, sweaty, out of shape guys fighting.
Right.
Wow.
So it looked real.
It looked real, right?
Absolutely.
It looked real.
And we did it for a day and a half. And we were both very sore, obviously. And that was it. I don't think you could do that if you don't know the person that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like I do some stuff here with guys, and you throw them against the wall. I play a detective on Blue Blood, so you got some of that.
Right.
But I don't know if you could really go at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was years ago. I don't think I could do it anyway now.
No, it's amazing. No, it's amazing. Like I said, it's a pivotal episode.
Yeah.
Steve, do you have a favorite episode of The Sopranos?
You know what I like? Whitecaps, which I have a very small role in it, but it's when Tony Soprano and his wife are breaking up, and she tells him she's been fantasizing about Furia, one of the soldiers. It is as good as two actors as you'll ever find anywhere on any screen. It is so real. This couple breaking up, anger, hurt. That's one of my favorite episodes, if not my favorite. And of course, everyone loves the Pine Barrens, which was great to shoot. And we were upstate shooting that, and we all went out the night before. And everybody got drunk, and Steve Buscemi was singing "I Want to Be Sedated" with the band.
No way.
Hey, Ramones fan.
Swear to God, he directed the episode. We were out way too late in some small town near West Point. And I looked over, and Steve Buscemi was singing "I Want to Be Sedated."
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So there was a lot of that. We ran around a lot together.
Right.
One of the reasons that I think Pine Barrens stands out so much is it also exemplifies how the show always goes against expectations and is full of surprises, which also sort of leads me to the ending in the last scene. And that last 4 minutes of film has been analyzed more than the Zapruder film with the Kennedy assassination, And I think that expectations were so high by the time it came out that I think that myself included, I think a lot of people, watching just wanted something a little bit less cerebral. But the show, looking back, was never that straight. It was always kind of cerebral. There was always a lot more depth to it.
Yeah.
A lot of details.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that you probably get asked all the time, what did the ending mean, right?
Yes.
Did Tony get whacked? Is he alive?
We watched it together. There was the only time I ever watched it together. There was 9 of us, and we were on this little farewell tour. We did an appearance, meet and greet in Atlantic City, then Foxwoods, Connecticut, and then a private plane down to the Hard Rock in Florida. So there was 9 of us there. And we did a thing with about a bunch of people. Then we went in to watch it like everyone else. And it was just the 9 of us. We had drink and food, and we sat there. And when it happened, and we all knew what was going to happen, fade to black. I read the script. Everybody read the script. People were stunned. I remember Jim Gandolfini going, what the fuck just happened? You know? And Michael Imperioli, he loved it. I had no idea what happened. I was so confused. I thought, like everyone else, something happened with the, in the internet or whatever inside the hotel.
Right.
And we sat there. Now, the thing that I did wrong, the next day I watched the news, and there was all kinds of people on with conspiracy theories and lies. Like you had a Bada Bing girl saying there's 5 different endings. I was in them all. And then this guy said this and that guy said that. And Steve Perry, he read the script and, all kinds of bullshit. And I realized there was nothing. There was no fake endings.
Right.
There was nothing. For years, I thought Tony Soprano was alive and well. Maybe it was wishful thinking on my part. I really believe that. Like nothing happened. What you saw is what you saw. But after doing the podcast and talking to David a few times, David Chase, I kind of think he died. I kind of think Tony Soprano died now. I flip-flopped.
Right.
I kind of think he did. I don't think the family got killed, but I think he may have gotten killed. I mean, I tried saying to David when he did the podcast, he was over Zoom, and I went, okay, David, if I go to Jersey right now, any way I bump into Tony Soprano? And he said, you're an asshole.
The guy in the members only jacket. I mean, you look at it over and over and over again, and it's almost hard not to think that that's what happened. He goes into the men's room, he comes out, and boom. And Bobby himself tells Tony earlier in a flashback, you probably don't even hear it when it happened.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what happened. I mean, I don't, a lot of people didn't like it or don't like it. How else was it to end?
Exactly.
What other ending?
Yeah.
What other ending would there be? And then, if you go back and watch the episode, I mean, everybody talks about the ending, but it was a great episode.
Oh, yes.
The whole thing, everybody's waiting for the ending, even when you watch it. When you go back and watch it, I love Paulie Walnuts calls the cat a snake with fur. A snake with fur,
because it's the reincarnation of Christopher taunting
absolutely
him, right?
Absolutely. He's on the wall. I mean, it was a really great experience, and I always talk, Tony Sirico, who played Paulie Walnuts, he was as close to his character as you get.
Wow.
He's very similar guy.
That's awesome.
It's funny talking about demise of characters. The thing about Bobby that I liked is the fact that he had this collection of trains, and it's like we're all collectors. And if there's anything that tears me apart is, what better way to get Larry? It's like when he goes to the toy store and he's eyeing, all
those cool action figures,
the battery operated Godzilla, it's in its box, and I'm there, and it's like, here's Bobby who's so into this train, this the blue comet.
But what would be worse than death for Larry would be the guys coming in and then just buying the train set from out from under him.
That'd be worse than death.
Or it's Kirk Hammett who comes in. There's that item I've been looking for. Yeah, and I'd be all, no.
Yeah, he collects a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think Bobby was buying, I mean, the guy makes reference, you and your son are going to love this. and he says, "My son doesn't want nothing to do with it."
Yes,
right.
Which is heartbreaking. It's like the train. I mean, who doesn't love trains?
I mean, it was a beautiful set. That was another thing.
Yeah.
The way they killed you was a kind of a badge of honor. And I thought I thought I had a great killing. You saw the trains going in the tunnel.
Yeah, the cutting to the
it's operatic.
It was absolutely a beautiful train set, as it was the one in his garage. When he got the choo-choo hat, which I happen to own. I own the hat.
It's also a very, very innocent environment that reflects Bobby, and actually sort of, I think his death redeems him dying that way in that place before he ever gets to be truly corrupt, even though he does carry.
Yeah, he was right in the cut. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you think Bobby from there goes to become a killer? Possibly,
Quite possibly.
It's very possible. So, and then he's married to her, and I just thought she was just so evil a character.
Yes.
That as bad as any of the guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Manipulator, liar, cheater, thief.
Murder.
Murderers. I mean, she didn't think twice about killing Richie Aprile. They put her on the bus at the end of season 2 after she killed him, and they say goodbye, and she's going to Seattle, and she was off the show. They didn't pick up her option. That was it for her. And then once Olivia passed away, Nancy Marchand, they brought her back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was gone. Yeah,
but she's fabulous.
It wasn't gone for any reason like that. They came in. If you notice, right? So you had Steve Buscemi was a villain one season. You had Frank Vincent, his character was a villain. You had Richie Aprile, who she killed. He was a villain. Then you had Ralphie. Killed, he was a villain. So it's kind of like Batman. Every season, there's a
super
bad
villain.
guy.
Sure. Yeah,
the villain, right? So it's kind of like that, and they knew that their time was short from going in. Mm-hmm. You're going to be here for a year. Buscemi knew he was going. He was supposed to be around a couple years, but he knew he was going.
Right.
So it wasn't a surprise like some of the other guys. Who thought they were in. Listen, Vinny Pastor, Big Pussy, he thought he was in for the long haul, and they killed him at the end of season 2. Once they killed him, everyone knew anything could happen.
Could be anyone. Yeah.
Right. But that's what makes the show so compelling for viewers too. It's that kind of thing where you don't know what's going to happen. Like anybody's could be offed anytime.
Adriana.
But to go,
nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
But to go from these, as you were saying, 2-line parts and bit roles to then be in arguably one of the best television shows ever made.
Yeah.
People say that it launched the new second golden age of television, which I would agree, because I mean, to take that subject matter and make it this nuanced Shakespearean drama. I mean, it really is. Forget about the Game of Thrones with the dragons and all that stuff. This is the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
An original Game of Thrones, if you think about it.
When I started out, like you said, if it didn't happen to me, I probably wouldn't believe it. It was so, I'm being dead serious. Like when I was doing the little bit parts, and I did all kinds of crap, America's Funniest People, and I did, Rhonda Shear had a show, an interstitial show, and I would go to LA and do that, and all kinds of garbage, dressing in the back of a Ryder truck, and, so I did all that as I held a job, but it was fun to me. And I learned, I was learning how to hit my marks. I was learning where the camera goes, even stuff like that, just little things.
Yeah.
And I remember it was so far-fetched, like for me ever to be like on a series, like, and my mother would say, "Oh, you're doing great." I would say, "Mom, I'm just doing it for fun." She said, "You never know. You never know."
Yeah.
And it was so far-fetched. Like I said, if it if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it. Like, so here you are. It wasn't like I was trying to be an actor from high school.
Right.
I never even thought about it until I was, deep into my 30s.
Wow.
And then I get on The Sopranos at 40 with 2 kids and a wife. So, we took a shot, but if it, because usually you go, the guy's an overnight success or whatever, but the guy's been trying to act for 20 years. You see that all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and for me to be lucky, and there's a lot of luck involved, and anyone who tells you otherwise is full of shit. Actors' egos won't allow that. But it's a lot of a right place at the right time, the right role. If I don't come to New York for the wedding, I may not be here talking to you guys.
Yeah.
I just happened he got married that day. They were auditioning people for season 2. They wrote this character.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing.
Right? I mean, when you think about it, and there's a lot of that, just the right place. And there's wonderful actors, and I'm sure there's wonderful actors, unfortunately, attending bar somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
They just haven't been given the opportunity,
Well, this is Monster Party, and I think we have to discuss something that fits a little bit more in our regular wheelhouse.
Okay.
And that would be a show that you did called Star Trek Enterprise.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you were in a 2-part episode called Stormfront. And in the episode, you get the crew of the Enterprise. They travel back to an alternate Earth timeline where the Nazis have occupied the eastern portion of the United States. This was done, of course, with the help of time-traveling alien Nazis. And so not only do you have Archer and the crew battling these alien Nazis, you also have a group of mobsters / resistance fighters helping them, which includes Carmine, played by the great Steve Schirripa.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing that.
Good Lord. You've got this action-packed sci-fi mobster World War II drama where you are literally lobbing grenades. I mean, come on. How much fun is that?
We shot that. I was there for 3 weeks at the Paramount lot, and I drove a Jeep through a fence.
Yeah.
I drove it myself. I drove a Jeep through the fence. We were shooting guns, and I'm not a big gun guy, even on Blue Bloods. I'm not really a gun fan, but we were at night having these shootouts and grenades, and I just loved every minute of it. I wish they would have brought me back. I mean, I actually loved doing that. That was a lot of fun to me. And Scott Bakula is a good guy, and I had a big argument with an alien. He had to step between us.
Right.
He had to step between Carmine and the alien. I just got a real kick out of that. And they also showed me the graphic designer, how some of the aliens, one of the aliens, he kind of copied Paulie Walnuts with the wings.
Oh, really?
He made one of the aliens have wings.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a good strong
but that was
episode.
a lot of fun. They were very nice to me, and we shot at night on the lot, and I enjoyed that, And then when I did Stargate Atlantis, is another one in your wheelhouse, right?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
sure, yeah.
And now we were playing poker with aliens. I mean,
yeah.
When you do that stuff, you got to play it straight.
Oh yeah, for
You know what I mean?
right.
Everything's got to be just like they're a regular cat.
And you were reunited with Frank Vincent from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
we went to Vegas. I don't know if I was living in Vegas at the time, but we went there. We did poker, played poker, and whatever happens with the alien.
it was like a wraith. The wraith is like the species of aliens in the show, or creatures, and he was like infiltrating the poker game. Yeah, and you got into a beef with him. It's great.
If things don't work out for you, you could always do a Star Trek convention, get a table, and make a few bucks. You were in Star Trek, man. That's a big deal. The Sopranos is one thing, but you were in Star Trek.
Yeah,
I know.
Steve,
I know.
Steve, I'm gonna cosplay as you at the next convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah. And Atlantis. I don't know if I've ever done anything else. I think those are the only kind of monster type. I've never done a horror film, which I would like to do. But I
Really?
haven't done
Okay.
that, yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Are you a fan of horror films in any way?
I'm really not. I get scared very easily.
Really?
I get
Is that
scared
right?
very easily. I am not. I am not. I'm more like I like Twilight Zone kind of stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was an incredible. That's one of the greatest shows ever.
For sure.
It's a Twilight Zone. I like that kind of stuff, But no, like a flat out horror film, I'm easily scared. Just like a magician, I'm easily fooled. I can never find I'm easily fooled.
Well, I've been to the Magic Castle in LA a number of times, and some of those magicians creep me out as well. So
It's amazing.
I get where you're coming from.
I love it. It's fun. It's fun. I like not knowing, I think that's neat. Oh, they do that. I don't need to analyze it. It's fun.
But the things that really get me, when these ones like these mental guys and they pick out the number in your head. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it goes, man. Quite amazing.
Yeah, I can't even figure out with like a big magic set where it's a cabinet and someone's being sawn in half or what have you. That's one thing that I can kind of wrap my head around how the trick might work. But when it comes to that mental stuff, I have no idea. I mean, at the Magic Castle, when they do the close-up magic in those little rooms, there are times where it's like, there's no way you could have done that trick without, special powers. That is amazing.
It's funny, at one point we had a space in the Riviera and my boss wanted to fill it with something, another show. And so I went to the Magic Castle. I forget his name. He was a very Lawson. That was the owner's name of the Magic Castle, yeah. I think. And he was very nice, man. And I set up an appointment and I went there and I tried to convince him to do a Magic Castle in Vegas. What's it called? Magic Castle?
Magic Castle, yeah.
To do one in Vegas. And I tried to convince him and he was very polite about it and all that, but he wasn't interested, Now we had dinner and we talked and I watched a bunch of the shows and he was very delightful guy, but he didn't want to do it.
Okay. Now, for listeners who don't know what that is, the Magic Castle is, it's like a club in Hollywood, big mansion at one time, and then was purchased and then taken over and made into this place to showcase magic tricks. But it's like you can't just show up like, hey, let's go to that restaurant. Yeah. It's like it's a special thing, right, Matt? It's like you have to kind of be invited. How
you have to be a member, and usually the members are magicians or people who are close to magicians. But if you are a member, you can get a number of people in. So I've been able to go.
I think you have to wear, if it's still like that, a jacket and tie.
Yes, that's correct. Dress up.
And there's a beautiful buffet thing there, and then you go through like 3 shows. It's really cool. But it's fun. Like if you're coming to LA or something, you want to try to get in there. Maybe if in your local town, if you befriend the local magician and say, hey, can you hook me up, or something like that, so you can get an invite, because it's really worth seeing. It's really amazing. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, you got to be classy when you go there. You got to dress up nice. Yep. This is not like a Denny's,
No heckling the the guy doing the card tricks. But the close-up magic, I mean, the best magicians in the world are at the Magic Castle.
That's right. Yeah.
Really.
And it's so cool because inside there are these special rooms. There's like a Houdini room, where they
actually have room.
Yeah, there's a seance room. There's like where a ghost plays a piano, and it's really neat.
It's really fun.
The Houdini room is great because they actually have like locks and chains and stuff that Houdini actually escaped from in that room, and that's really amazing.
But Steve, we don't want to monopolize your time, but we would love to hear a little bit about that Columbo episode you did, because you were on the last episode of Columbo, and in the last scene with Peter Falk, which is yet again another piece of television history.
He kept doing these shows in the late 90s to early 2000s. I think it was 2003 was the episode you were in. Columbo Likes the Nightlife.
And we all love Columbo. And
I'm a big fan. And he was my mother's favorite actor. And so I get a call to go audition. So I go audition on tape, and they tell me I got the role. And the scenes, I just have 2 scenes, but they're with Peter Falk. And one's like a 5-page scene.
That first scene with him.
Scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it was even longer. They cut. We shot more than that. And we shot it on Hollywood Boulevard, but they didn't lock it down. So there was cars and people all over the place.
Wow.
They found the Peugeot. That wasn't the original. They found it in like a swamp somewhere down in Louisiana.
What?
Swear to God. That wasn't the original Peugeot. And I met him, I think, at rehearsal. Then I went to his trailer and we ran lines. And he was friends with Michael Imperioli. So, we talked and we got to know each other. And I really, really enjoyed him. I thought he was, obviously, I knew all his work. I had seen a bunch of Columbos. So we do the scene. And then I got to come back, I don't know, a few weeks later to do the last scene.
Right.
Well, I think he was starting to get a little, I think he had Alzheimer's.
Right.
Passed away.
Yeah.
I think so. Either that or he was screaming at someone. And I thought he was joking. But he's executive producer and he knew what he wanted. Wow. And, he got, and I'm not kidding you, his side about 30 takes.
Really?
Wow.
My side, I had to beg for a third.
Wow.
I had to beg for a third.
So he wanted to do that many takes for himself?
Yes. I think that's how he worked.
Okay.
Because I remember somebody telling me once, even hang up the phone over and over. That's how he worked.
Wow, really?
Where some guys want to, you do it twice and you're out. I work with Clint Eastwood, and that's how it is. You better be prepared. You better be ready. There's none of that.
Huh.
Right.
I worked with Clint Eastwood twice. He hires you. He casts you. He expects you to do your thing.
Right. Right.
Whereas with Peter and a lot of people, that's how they work. And he was able to do that. I really, really enjoyed his company. And one of my favorite things I've done. And I was in the car with him. And as he was saying his lines, I was thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm sitting there next to Peter Falk.
Right.
I want to give some context too, because in that episode, there's these like nightclub owners and they kill this guy, and that guy is kind of has connections with the mob. So your character is kind of there to make sure Columbo solves the murder, because if he doesn't, you're going to get the mob guys to take care of business. So you're like being friendly, kind of in a friendly yet threatening way in that scene.
Like a messenger. Yeah, I didn't threaten Columbo, but just was there to help him. I had the card. It was
the card bit is great. I love the card bit, and then you bring it back at the end, which was a nice
tongue in cheek. And I got some beautiful pictures. The photographer gave me some beautiful pictures of me and Peter in that last scene. Not post pictures.
That last shot is amazing because it's an extended shot. He's just solved the crime in the nightclub, and there's all the people in the nightclub watching him as he's walking out, and the camera's following him. And he comes up to you and he goes, "Hey, good job," and you shake his hand, and he walks off. It's, to me, like that's Peter Falk saying farewell to everybody as Columbo, and you're the guy there to shake his hand.
And it was all red. I got a couple of beautiful pictures.
It's great.
And you know what? It just, once again, right place, right time, just luck, man. I mean, they shot that scene that day. That was the last scene.
It's amazing.
Who knew that? But we were at the SAG Awards before the movie came out, and at my table, I had gotten up for whatever, and they said Peter Falk was just here. He was looking for you. And then then I saw him later on at the HBO party. We took pictures and just wonderful, man. I wish wish I could have worked with him more, but that was pleasant. I worked with Christopher Walken on Jersey Boys, a very small role. I had worked with Clint Eastwood on another movie with Matt Damon where I had a pretty good role. And so I was up for this role, which went to Christopher Walken, of course. So he gave me this other small thing, and I'm not going to say no to Clint, so I agreed to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And because I kind of got to know him, and you know, I really liked the way he directed. He was very pleasant. The set is very pleasant. And Christopher Walken had never heard the way Clint Eastwood worked. You know, moving on. He's got a monitor around his neck, and he's almost sometimes right in the scene with you. You know, and he's very loose, very happy. You know, it's like that, no pressure. And between takes, Christopher Walken wanted, you know, it takes him a time to build it up. And he was kind of like going, "Well, it moves too fast." And I said, "You didn't know that, Chris?" Like you didn't, you know. I just figured he would know that, you know.
Yeah.
Like going into it, that's kind of how he does it. I don't think they work more than 10-hour days, and you know, he's got the same crew, and you know, it's very civil the way he directs, you know. And I was kind of surprised at that, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and then now I guess Blue Bloods is going to end soon. Yes.
Yeah, this is a 14th season. I came on in season 6. I've done 135 episodes.
Wow.
So it's been good down the run. I came in for 1, maybe 2, and then they just kept me around. You know, so
that's terrific.
It was like you know, 1, maybe 2 if they like you. I said okay, and it turned out to be a really good job, especially coming down the home stretch here. You know, and they're very, very nice people, great cast, the legendary Tom Selleck. You know,
I've heard he's great. Like he's just a really great guy to work with.
Great guy, still strong. He's 79, big guy, 6'4", big guy, huge hands, but a good guy. And you know, listen, he's a TV icon.
For sure.
I mean, from Magnum to this, and he was in a lot of people forget he was in those 3 Men and a Baby movies. And,
very popular.
You know, so and it shoots here in New York, so I couldn't be happier. And it's been a good run. We're gonna finish up in June, and then I think they're gonna add 9, and then 9 in February, then 9 in September.
Wow,
that's fantastic.
It's amazing.
And that'll be that. Then it's a wrap.
All right.
I think I'm going right off into the sunset.
No, come on.
I think so. Listen, I don't want to press my luck. Things have been going too good.
well, now you have a whole new future with Monster Party. So
that's right. Yeah.
Well, now though, people will know me from Monster Party.
That's right.
You know, I don't have any figurines. Next time I'll have some.
We'll send you some.
Just get you a
Monster Party figurine, whatever they are.
Well, hey, you know, this has just been a delight, and I'm so happy that you could do this with us, and it means the world to me.
Yes, it's an honor.
Thank you, guys. Really I had a lot of fun. Thank you I know I'm a little out of the box with probably your fans, but
this is awesome.
Well, but Steve, you did bring up something. You did do this podcast, and can people still listen to these episodes?
Well, first of all, it's on HBO Max. It's called Talking Sopranos.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube, and it's on Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. It's still out there because there's new fans coming in.
Yeah.
So there's new people listening, which I'm stunned because we finished it. We went through every scene of every episode.
Right.
And then we just kind of ran out of, you know, we did 91 episodes. We tried to stretch a little bit. We brought in fans, and we have 60-something guests.
Wow.
Maybe more. Writers, producers, stuntmen, casting, costumes, actors.
Nice.
You know, everyone has a different story, which I love. How they got on the show, how they auditioned, you know, what everything means to everything's important to everybody, like, so the costume person, and of course was a big part of the show. And the casting people told us, great story. Jerry Stiller, the great Jerry Stiller, he had the role of Hesh.
Wow.
Hesh played by Jerry Adler.
Really?
And he had the role, and he was supposed to start Monday, but he got a commercial on Friday that paid a lot more money.
Oh, wow.
And he took the commercial, and over the weekend they had a scramble to get Jerry Adler.
Wow.
Who I couldn't see. I love Jerry Stiller, but I just couldn't see it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It would be very different. Yeah.
It would be very different. So, if you're really a fan, if you're not a fan of The Sopranos, it's not worth it. But if you are, I think you'll learn some, there's some good insight,
Awesome.
You do live events as well, right?
Yeah, we do a live event conversation with The Sopranos. We've toured Australia, and we have a comic, Joey Cola, and we answer prepared questions. We do Q&A. We show clips, and we sell out. We do like theaters. Our next one is in April in New Jersey. We do them sporadically, but they sell out everywhere. Once again, you got to be a Soprano fan.
But Steve, if they're listening,
it's all comedy driven. It's a lot of fun.
Steve, if there are listeners out there that want to find out more about what Steve Schirripa is up to, is there a place that they can go to check out like your latest project or what you're working on next?
Well, I'm on Instagram. I do videos with me and my dog. I have a wiener dog named Willie Boy, and I do videos, and people love him, and we've gotten millions of views, and he eggs out with me, so you see that. Right now, that's all I'm doing. We do the live shows, and I'm doing Blue Bloods. I'm okay for now. We had the book come out a couple years ago. It was a New York Times bestseller. Woke up this morning, and but look at my videos of Willie Boy. I think you'll like them.
All right,
awesome. Steve, thank you so much for.
Thank you, guys. Really,
thank
really
you.
had a pleasure.
Been amazing.
Let's raise our glasses and give a toast.
Yes.
To the wonderful Steve Schirripa.
Steve Schirripa.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Make sure you buy that Monster Party merchandise.
You are a good man.
There you guys. Thank you very much.
Buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much.
Take care.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out. What are you talking about? It's a shout out. Come on.
Shout out.
It.
Actually, don't forget about it. We want you to remember.
That's right.
Hey, Matt, I want you to do the honors this time around.
Okay. I'm going to stop talking like this. All right?
Well, welcome to Cliched Italian Actor Theater.
Yeah. I'm gonna make you an offer. Yeah, no, that's a different show. Okay. All right. Here we go. So, friend of the show, Derek Robertson, introduced me to a really wonderful person named Kathleen Blaguet. Now, Kathleen, she is sending me 3 of the main Shogun Warrior robots from the 70s. Now, we're talking the original ones, complete, perfect stickers, perfect, and the boxes.
My heart.
Crazy.
My heart. How can you be so lucky?
Every once in a while,
Curse you, Matt Weinhold.
Every 25 years, something nice happens to me. But no, she's, my hero. But aside from being just the wonderful person that she is, she also has a business. And this business works perfectly with the upcoming Valentine season. She has a business called Thornbrook Chocolates. Thornbrook spelled THORNEBROOK Chocolates. Now, this place is in Gainesville, Florida, and they do bang up business. And if you wanted to find something that would be the perfect gift for your sweetie, your sweetheart, your wife, your mistress,
your bookie, maybe?
Your bookie, sure, right, yeah. Go to the store and get some chocolates. So once again, it's Thornbrook Chocolates. 2441 Northwest 43rd Street, number 21, Gainesville, Florida, 32606. Their phone number is 352-371-0800. You can also go to info@thornbrookchocolates.com to get more information. So please do me a favor, do me a personal favor, and throw her some business. You'd be making my robots very happy.
And tell her Matt Weinhold sent you. Chocolates are, of course, the perfect Valentine's gift. But, I can think of other perfect Valentine's gifts.
What would those be?
Well, the Monster Party t-shirt, for one.
Right. Yes. So romantic.
The shot glass is romantic. The PPE mask, the Monster Party mask, that's truly showing someone that you care.
It's so mysteriously romantic.
Well, and then also what you can do is you can stretch it to go from your ear to your sweetheart's ear. So you're sharing one mask. It's like you're hanging in a hammock together.
Yeah.
That's like the PPE mask centipede.
Come on.
Yes, it is.
And of course, the legendary Monster Party cap.
Yes. That Steve Schirripa should have.
Oh,
that's
yes,
right.
Indeed.
We got to get him one.
You make that happen.
They're lovely hats. All these products are quality made, and they're just the gift that keep on giving. I mean, like with the shot glasses, you could pour yourself a shot, but guess what? Once that shot's done, you can pour another one. So it has hundreds of uses for hundreds of shots.
So you're asking yourself, well, where can I find all these wonderful gifts? Well, of course, on our eBay store, which is called, you guessed it, Monster Party Store. Or go on eBay and type in Monster Party Podcasts and all the stuff will come up. Yeah. And if you happen to be a Patreon member and order from our eBay store, we will throw in free surprise goodies with your package. Free surprise goodies courtesy of our friends Jason Lindsay at Biff Bang Pow Toys and Ted Haynes, creature creator extraordinaire.
Right. And these guys aren't made men, but they are made wonderful.
They're men who make too, right? They make stuff, right?
So, that's a good point too. Yes, they are made men because they make things. But I don't want to throw that out there because a mobster could get confused, and then next thing you know, they sleep with the fishes.
True.
So, this Patreon, that I keep asking about, I know it should retain in my head, but I'm just full of all of this information. I can't retain it. What is this Patreon I keep hearing about?
Well, again, you forgot about it.
Bada bing.
So let me refresh your memory. In much the same way that a criminal organization will ask you for money for protection, Patreon asks you for money to protect you from inferior podcast content.
That's
true. And how do they do this? By allowing Monster Party to provide you with exclusive bonus material. That includes the Monster Party bonus audio episodes, the Monster Party shows that we produce, like Larry's Toy Time and James's Toy Time and Sean's Toy Time and my Toy Time, which is, I'm sure at this point already dropped. So look for that. We had a good time with it. Larry and I worked on it together, and I think
it's pretty amazing.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah. But we have more than that. We have Monster Party masterpieces. We have the story collections that are put together by my stepfather-in-law, John Bordeaux, that feature vintage sci-fi and horror. So you can download those. We have our trip to Japan, which you can experience with our video diary. And there are many chapters. And so you can really get the Japanese experience.
Epic.
And my goodness. Oh, yes, there are numerous convention appearances that we've chronicled. We've got lots of footage from Comic-Con, Monsterpalooza, and others. So, yeah, I mean, it really is a bonanza of bonus content.
Wow, it sounds amazing, but I got to say, I'm about to shell out some bucks for an HBO Max subscription so I can rewatch The Sopranos.
Good boy.
So I don't know if I can afford this.
All right. Well, for the price you would pay for 10 seconds of therapy from Dr. Melfi, you could become a Monster Party patron. And that price is $5. $5 a month.
That's amazing. I mean, you can't get like a bootleg knockoff reproduction of a Blue Comet toy train engine for that price.
No way. You know what? Even the knockoffs are a couple grand, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's an offer I can't refuse. So how does one sign up for this wonderful bonanza?
All you got to do is you go to patreon.com, you go to Monster Party, you click join, you follow the instructions, and next thing you know, it'll be like you just put a hit out on the doldrums.
And speaking of beating those doldrums, we are also on social media. You can find
killing them.
Whacking, and speaking of whacking those doldrums, why don't you look for us on social media? Because we are on Facebook at Monster Party TV, YouTube, also Monster Party TV, Twitter, or now X, Monster Party HQ, and Instagram at Monster Party HQ. And hey, wherever you're listening to us, please drop us a line. Let us know your comments. Write us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we will read it on the air.
Yes, because when it comes to people writing nice things about us, we love squealers. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GONIS.
Keep America strong.
And watch anything with Steve Schirripa.
And rejoice in the fact that we actually got Bobby BACALA on Monster Party.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all of this.
You know, you would think that if the Game of Thrones people could get together, you know, and have two that are so charismatic like you and Michael, it would be great to have them continue on. But I think that last season, so many people were pissed off about that last season, how they just felt it was rushed and everything. And
I'm assuming that you're not a big Game of Thrones guy.
I've never seen 1 second of one episode.
Wow.
They should do it.
And I know I've read
dragons,
and I know it's
magic.
great, and I've heard was HBO's biggest show ever, bigger than The Sopranos.
Yes.
That is just not my bag. So one.
They should do a shared universe, combine the two shows.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Steve? Don't like dragons?
Listen,
dragons not your thing?
Listen, I was doing $100,000 pyramid with Michael Strahan, right?
Yeah, right.
I get the category Star Wars. I saw Star Wars in 1977, like when it came out the first time, and I hated it. And I didn't know who anyone was. They were laughing at me. I mean, I was getting tweets. People were killing me, man, killing me.
Well,
I didn't know anything.
We're not going to be those people because we realize
everybody has. Steve, we're going to test you and all the Star Wars characters.
Right. Yeah, I knew nothing.
If we could just shift this into a game of Dungeons and Dragons, that would be great.
Yeah. There you go.
Steve, this is all about you.
Yes,
this is about you. You are a fascinating individual. You've done amazing work. And I can't wait to get into this.
Yeah, we're gonna start this in seconds here,
Matt.
I think we can start this now.
So Steve, Matt's gonna do a little introduction. We're gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna say what the topic is, and introduce you, and then we're gonna go to town. Which is you. Okay,
Matt's gonna give a little intro. Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Just to warn you, so you don't think, oh, he's having an episode. I do the intro as like a horror movie host.
All right.
Yes.
You'll love it.
Listen, I'm going with the flow here.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm going with the flow.
I had a thing that I was going to go into, but I didn't really feel that there was a place to go. It's just let the guy talk about how I went to school with, I believe, was a mob kid who scared the shit out of me. And,
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And I had a frightening incident with him in the locker room that terrified me to this day.
My first girlfriend was Calabrese, Southern Italian in New York. And she lived in a very small apartment across the street from the public school I went to in Corona, Queens. And one night they had a guest in the house. Her family had nobody had anything to do with the mob, but one night a mafia don came as a guest. And so I met a don. He wasn't just a wise guy. This man was a don.
Wow.
He was a
Where is this, James?
This was in Corona, Queens, my first girlfriend's apartment. And the man was like granite. I mean, the way he wore his power, he barely moved, he barely said a thing, but he didn't have to. He was impeccably dressed. He just sat there. And it was the kind of thing like, Don Corleone goes, "Do you ever invite me over for a cup of coffee?" That's all it was. He was part of the community. He came over for a cup of coffee, but the guy was like so silently powerful. It was like, holy shit. So I met a don. Yeah.
Wow.